Hello and welcome to another edition of Mock Family Games. Today's a top list. It's not a top 10, it's a top 5. The top 5 is puzzle board games. And we really like puzzle mechanics. We really like the thinking ahead and plotting out and, once a place is put, that piece probably can't be moved kind of idea. The order in which you're taking is really important. But as we began to look at what games met that, it's really a tough thing. You start to say, well, that's kind of puzzly, and in the end, our final criteria was it's a multiplayer game. The decisions of others affect you. You are taking from essentially a common supply, whether it be a common supply in the middle of the table or whether it be something you're passing around but everybody gets access to it, and you are determining what piece you're taking out. And lastly, you are building something in front of you. So really those three key things are a puzzle game to us. Again, to repeat those things, you're working on something directly in front of you. Everybody has access to the same pieces in theory. Obviously if he takes it before I did, then I made the mistake of not grabbing it that turn earlier. So everybody has access to the same stuff, and the order in which you place that piece or where you place that piece will determine your ultimate success in that game. So that to us is a puzzle game. We have in our collection probably 30 to 35 games that meet that criteria. Some games that we looked at and said, boy, that's close, but we ultimately didn't qualify for this list. Carcassonne, stuff like that. Alhambra, Kanagawa, or Katagawa are all close to that criteria. Lanterns is another one, but in Carcassonne and Lanterns, you're working on a collective puzzle. And ultimately that we felt that was too much of a stretch to be in this category. That's going to be a tile laying game, whereas some of these puzzle games do have tiles, but we don't call them tile laying games. So with that, we'll go to our list, and Tagan, you'll start with your number 5.
My number 5 is number 9. It is pretty, yeah, see that, but it's just we've done a video on it before. It's a tile laying puzzle game where we're trying to get these number-shaped tiles on your little spot here and try to score the most points on the different levels.
And the reason I told Tagan not to pull it out yet is because that's somebody's number 1. So we're going to show off our number 1s at the end. My number 5 is King Domino. King Domino is a game that we held off on for like the first 2 years it was out. It's from Blue Orange, and generally we kind of consider Blue Orange to be stuff like Spot It and just more really, really basic kitty, and we just like a little bit more meat to our light games. We like a little bit more strategy. So we held off on King Domino forever, and we said, everybody raves about this game, let's try it, and we've all just absolutely loved it. So King Domino is my number 5. You're building a little 7x7 or 5x5 grid, 7x7 in a 2-player game, and the order in which you take them is super important, and what you're collecting, you have to make a decision early on when you change because that person's doing mud pits or lakes, and it's really good. Ace? Or no, I'm sorry. Mom's number 5 is Dragon Castle. Dragon Castle has these really thick acrylic, or maybe they're Bakelite type mahjong tiles. They're super high quality. They're super attractive. It's a really fun kinesthetic experience. And again, a lot of, like most of these games, really simple choices. You have 1 of 3 things you can do on a turn. It's really basic, and there's a ton of depth into how you do that based on what everybody else is doing. So Dragon Castle is a really good puzzle game. Aislynn?
My number 5 is Azul, which there's these 4 tiles in these little circles, and then there's a -1 if you want to be the star player, and you grab the one color of a tile at a time. So on one circle, if there's 2 light blues, and then a red and a white, if I wanted light blues, I couldn't take one, I would have to take both. So sometimes you have to take a minus from one of those.
Aidric, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is Quadropolis. This is put out from Days of Wonder, and for some reason we hadn't got it. I think it was for like 3 years, 2 years.
Yeah, I think it came out 2015, 2016. So it's been out for a bit.
But it's I guess quadrants, kind of like Azul, that you have like your A section, your B section, your C, your D. And the way that you pick your tiles, you have to put them in that section. So it's a city building game, and then like the certain ones you can stack, and then you need fuel and people. It's just really well designed, and it's cool mechanics in it.
Number 4, Tagan.
My number 4 is Zendo. It is a game where you are have these like 3 ships, I think.
3 ships, yeah.
Like pyramids, cones, squares, and somebody is the person that makes the rule that they have these little card on, and they have to make an example that shows the rule and another one that doesn't, and then the other people are making stuff and asking for the real rule to see if it makes sense, and they're either saying yes or no until somebody comes up with the actual rule, and then they get like 1 point. So yeah, that's Zendo.
Zendo's good. It didn't make my list. It's from Looney Labs. Zendo is really dependent on the crowd and the mood of the crowd, and frankly, how bright some people are. And if you have one person who doesn't have that kind of critical thinking, that well, it's really deductive thinking is what it is. If they don't enjoy that, then they're not going to have a good time, and you're not going to enjoy Zendo. But with the right group, Zendo's really, really good. My number 4 is Barren Park. There's a lot of the polyomino type games out right now. Uwe Rosenberg's done, I think, 4 of them now. This is my favorite of all the polyomino games. I'm not going to talk a ton about it because I know it's higher on other people's lists. So my number 4 is Barren Park by Phil Walker Harding and put out by Mayfair Games. That's my number 4. Number 4 for Mom is Welcome to Your Perfect Home. It's got a misnomer. It's called a roll and write. It's not a roll and write. It's a flip and write. You flip 3 cards, and you have to use the function on 2 of the cards that are flipped, or two of the sets that are flipped. It's a really, really cool game. It plays in about 20 minutes. This one, the only downside is it's a bit solitaire-ish in that the action I do, you can do, and you can do. The odds of you doing the exact same action, given the variability of the different rows of houses and how big your town is and where they've already played, the odds of you doing the exact same action are really, really low. But that's the only downside to it, is it can feel solitaire-ish. And ultimately you're playing yourself against the cards. But if you're engaging along the way, it doesn't feel that way. We play with 4, 5, and 6, and it's a game that we'll play when we bring it out. We'll play it 4 or 5 times in a row. I've never had a single bad experience with Welcome To. It comes with, I think, 100 sheets using pen and paper, and normally that won't be my thing. And this game it's one of my favorites. I mean, it's top 50 for me all the time. And for puzzle, it's my number 3, or my number 4. So actually, that's Mom's number 4. It's higher up on my list. I'm talking too much about a game that's not on my list yet. Welcome To, number 4 for Mom. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is Wreath. It is, well, there's 4 colors. There's green,
Red, purple, yellow.
Red, purple, yellow. And then you start off with 1 of each color. And then you have these 2 goals you want to achieve. And you start on getting more goals to achieve more things. And on the top of the thing of the goals, they say you get 2 red, or like 2 green, or yellow and purple, like something like that.
Yeah, it's in that same Azul, Sagrada, Drin Castle family. Same number of players, same game length. It's really, really good. Aidric, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is also Welcome to Your Perfect Home, and we just talked about that, so yeah.
Tay, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is